and the central bank is close to bankruptcy, you will get what's called an international bailout. They will go to some other government, maybe the Chinese government, maybe the American government, maybe the International Monetary Fund, to give them a loan, meaning more reserves to, we say, defend the currency. Okay, defend the currency. Defend the currency. Defending the currency is an attempt by the central bank, monetary authorities, and the government to maintain as high as possible the value of the currency and confidence in it. Because all of these runs are a result of a loss of confidence. So the government is going to defend the currency, okay? Well, the government, so it will get a bailout. For example, the Greek banking system was in trouble, okay? And as a result, the commercial banks ran out of money, and the central bank ran out of money, so they had to get to a European Union bailout, okay? Now, similarly, like international institutions will provide reserves to the central bank, and then the central bank will feed the reserves to commercial banks. Commercial banks can get a bailout from the central bank. This function is known as, red color again, LLR. LLR is lender of last resort. Let's write it out. In other words, when a commercial central bank gets in trouble, it will go to the central bank for a bailout. The central bank becomes the lender of last resort. In other words, the commercial bank says, we are running out of cash, and the central bank will lend cash to it. Okay? It will lend cash to it. What may happen is they may have to print the cash and lend it out. Okay? So sometimes, and I'll explain in other cases, lender of last resort, that's on page 133. Page 133. Now, currency run, I've taken a note, is somewhere on page 132. All right, and the next topic I covered last time is page 133 again. Page 133. This is the uniform credit expansion. Back to central banking. One of the main functions of the central bank is to maintain a uniform expansion of credit. As the textbook says, this is the same as commercial banks expand together. In other words, if the central bank increases reserves to commercial banks, to one or more commercial banks by, let's say, 7%, all commercial banks will expand and grow at roughly about 7%. You won't have the case where one commercial bank will expand with 25 and another with 5. If that's the case, the fast expanding commercial bank will lose reserves to the slow expanding commercial bank. So they expand together. That's page 133. 133. And the way, again, the author says it, they'll expand, that's the very last paragraph, harmoniously and uniformly. Harmoniously and this is the last paragraph of page 133. Now, the question is, how does the central bank accomplish this? Last time, required rates of reserves. If the central bank requires exactly the same reserve ratio from all commercial banks, and the ratio is sufficiently high, and all commercial banks alone, that whatever amount of reserves are created in the system, all commercial banks will expand uniformly. Now, maybe one commercial bank will grow at 6 and another at 8, and a third one at 7. But the differences between growth rates of commercial banks will be minor. All right, let's see what else I have. So, again, I wrote it last time. The central bank functions as one of the main functions as a bank of cartelizing. Cartelization of banking system. In other words, one of the main purposes of the central bank was to cartelize. That's page 134. It did so by licensing. That's number one. Number two, it forces all commercial banks to behave similarly, almost the same, through regulations. And imposes harmonious and uniform expansion of credit through required rates of reserves. And the required rates of reserves, there's 134. Page 134. The next page, 136, I discussed the MN, that's the money multiplier from last time, which is 1 over the reserve requirement, R, required reserves, okay? And next, again, page 136, I already discussed last time, is money supply equals cash plus, okay, let me write it short. Demand deposits, which is cash. Now, what is the demand deposit? Will be multiplier multiplied reserves. Let's see what else I got here. Now, next page 136 will be reserves. Reserves, minimum required reserves which commercial banks must maintain are just called required. Because required reserves, we've studied that. Now, a commercial bank may be required to maintain only 10% reserve, but a commercial bank can decide and maintain 15 because it wants to, because it likes to, because it fears of something, or for any reasons. So, that extra reserves is called excess. Excess reserves. So, excess reserves are reserves which a commercial bank maintains above and beyond the minimum. If the minimum is 10 and they maintain 12, the excess reserve is 2. Okay. And now, we call the sum of these two total reserves. Okay? So, the commercial bank maintains 12% total reserves, 10 required, 2 excess. Excess reserves, page 136. Okay. And now I get the next part. Okay.